And it's good, and we are back inside the DirecTV Fantasy Zone studios. John Ritchie here with a very special guest. I'll let you go ahead and introduce him since he's your buddy.
He is. I got to play with this guy for 5 years, the classiest man in the NFL.
You do say that.
Future Hall of Famer, the one and only Tim Brown.
Woo!
Yes.
Thanks for being here. All right, Tim Brown in the house here in DirecTV Fantasy Zone.
Go
It's
to
a comfy
sleep out
couch,
here.
absolutely. You know, we've got the TVs, we had some great
Cushiony.
food, and now we have some great conversation with you. We got to talk Raiders. You guys, you said you stood next to him in the huddle, which is amazing.
I did.
That's
The
right.
We'll get to
Z and then
stories.
the fullback.
We'll get to stories
Except
about
when I had
you, too.
DMSO on my system, and he was like,
and
stand
that
back
big
there.
thing in your forehead.
Oh, yeah.
that you
Yeah, we've talked about that often. Size up the team for us this season. What are you seeing?
The Raiders, well, you know, it's just one of these years that the talent level is a little low. And with the injuries and everything that they had, it just made it very difficult to have, you know, the type of season you want to have. So the great thing is, you know, they have a young kid who's played a lot of football that's going to be better. You know, what we say about rookies, the best thing about a rookie is they become second-year players. So.
Well, what are your thoughts on Derek Carr? What's the ceiling?
Well, I think he's done a great job. I mean, when you look at the receiver core, they've been in and out, so he's had a lot of inconsistency there. Offensive line has had some problems. The running backs, they've been in and out. So he's the only player that's been stable all year. So from that standpoint, it makes it very difficult for him to explode and have these big games. You're a rookie, you're trying to learn, and then your players are changing week in and week out. It's a difficult thing.
Now, you think, first of all, you look exactly the same. I mean, this is incredible.
Besides the gray hair and the
No,
receding
stop
hair.
it.
A while back, I mean, you look like you could go out there and play. You're a lucky ectomorph. You're slender. You're looking good. Anyway, back when now there's all this talk about moving to LA. Look, it's identical.
There you go. He does look like that.
Yes.
They might move this team, Richie.
Wow, that's a
Right, yeah,
gorgeous
that's
one
LA
in the
days.
Coliseum.
Wow.
Those
Yeah.
are the days. But now there's all this talk about possibly
Sure.
moving back to LA. You think maybe San Antonio, I
Yeah,
guess?
I mean, it's at this particular point, Oakland can't do the deal. They want to do the deal, but they can't do the deal. Mark doesn't want to do another one-year lease type deal. He wants the stadium. He wants to build. LA is trying to woo any team. They don't care who they get. They just trying to get a team.
Yeah.
So the offer they got from San Antonio is so substantial that they have to consider it.
Yeah.
And, you know, for the Raider Nation in California, it would be tough. But at the same time, at some point, this team has to think about the betterment of itself.
Right.
And if they do that, I mean, San Antonio may end up being their best choice.
Yeah, right.
Imagine.
Well, when we were playing there, Jim Harbaugh was an assistant. Now there's all this talk that he may come back. Did you interact with him much when he was an assistant
Well,
coach?
you remember back in those days, Jimmy was a gopher. He was that guy that
Yeah.
stayed up to 4 in the morning, was up at 6 in the morning, would come in, glassy eyes, hair all over his
Breaking
head.
down film,
you know,
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. You know, so we interacted, but it was like, Jimmy, please, why are you doing this to yourself? You don't have to. But you know, I think Jimmy is an interesting choice. I mean, obviously he's a great coach. The problem I have is if it's true that he's having issues with the locker room in San Francisco. Well, we're talking about the Raiders. So if you can't handle the 49er locker room, don't come over to the Black Bottom because it's going to be a totally different deal. So and if Mark can get through that and he's comfortable with the fact that he may be able to handle the locker room, then, I mean, obviously he's a great coach. That's not the issue.
Yeah.
Now, John Ritchie says you're the classiest man that he has ever met. And Richie's met a lot of people. What does that feel? I mean, what does that mean to hear?
Well, you know, Richie caught me at a good time. You know, he caught me late in my career. So, you know, and, you know, I think at that particular point, you know, my purpose in the game was trying to prove to people that you can, you know, live a saved life and be a Christian and play great football. So that was really important to me to make sure that when guys were around me, I tried my best to show them exactly what I wanted to show them.
And
That's
you
a
have
great example.
You have a book called The Making of a Man. I'm sure that ties into that as well.
Yeah. We talk about those days he didn't know me, and we go
Look at
into
that.
we go into the. There you go.
I'm smothering him.
Yeah, that's is that the 1,000 catch? I don't know if that was 1,000 catch or not, but yeah. So you know, with the book, you know, I just try and get into some things that helped me get through my NFL career, and I just figured if it helped me, then maybe there's some young guys out there it would help. Maybe there's some old guys out there it would help. And so we're just trying to get it out there.
And how to do it with integrity. And it's
Yes.
called The Making
Always.
of a Man.
You were in town for the Heisman ceremony last night. Is Mariota deserving?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, when you look at his numbers this year, 38 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, 53 touchdowns altogether. He had an incredible year, no doubt about that. Amari Cooper, I believe, is probably the most outstanding player when you look at everything that he's capable of doing. But it's very difficult for a receiver to win the Heisman, and it's probably my fault because, I won it by returning punts and kickoffs and all that, and none of these guys are doing that anymore. Nobody's crazy enough to get back there and do all that.
Exactly.
So.
You're the Iron Man who did it all. Guys don't have to do that.
They don't have to do it because
it's a different culture.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me tell you, if I was coming through the game today, I probably wouldn't do it because if I want to be a receiver and I see all this money out there and see all these opportunities, why would I want to go and risk doing that?
But that's the thing. Like, now, wide receivers are divas. I mean, Tim is a tough guy, just like an old lineman, but faster and more skilled. That's the difference here with Tim Brown.
Who are the top 3 receivers in the game right now?
Oh, boy. Look, I mean, I get asked this all the time, but, my issue is, okay, I got to go with the big guys, and then I go with the guys who really run routes, But obviously, Calvin Johnson is probably the best guy in the league right now. Julio Jones is a beast. Then you have Marshall in Chicago. So those are the big guys, But I love Golden Tate. I love what he does. Macklin with Philadelphia. And then you have the boys from Oregon State, Witten, and the kid Bryant that's playing with Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah.
He's having a heck of a year. Cooks down in New Orleans is having a great year until, I guess he broke his hand or whatever.
A lot of good receivers.
Yeah. And, then you have Odell Beckham, obviously, who is lighting it up with all the the contortionist move I showed. I was like, forget the catch. How did he get his hand over there? That's what I want to know.
Very impressive rookie class among wide receivers in general. We've got the Seattle 49ers game in the 2-box for you guys to enjoy right here, DirecTV Fantasy Zone. Now, I like to ask the really tough questions.
Okay.
And I hear that you have a bowling alley in your home. He told me that. Have you ever bowled a perfect game?
I have not bowled a perfect game.
How good of a bowler are you?
Well, I used to be like 220, 230 average. That's where I used to be, and that's why I wanted to put a bowling alley in my house. But it's like the more I bowled back there, the worse my average got. It seemed like so. But now, when I do bowl, it's not anywhere close to 200. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Touchdown, Marshawn Lynch.
Yes, that just happened.
Tim, when I was in Oakland for 5 years, and the day that I left,
5 years?
Yeah. The day that I left, I was crying like a baby. I mean, you were there for
16.
ever, through the thick and the thin, the hard times, the good times. How hard was it to go to Tampa?
It was very difficult, man, because I had spoken with Al Davis in June and told him what my plans were. I told him I thought I would, retire after the season. I thought Jerry Porter was going to be my replacement, but he wasn't ready. Mentally, he wasn't ready to take it on. So what I was going to do is I was going to, mentor him like I have been doing. Halfway through the season, they put him in, let him start. I'm still there to help him get through, and now he can roll. And Al agreed with me. He thought that was a great plan. 2 weeks later, they cut me.
Wow.
So for me, it was I needed a soft place to land. I didn't need to go and start over. So going with Gruden, and Bruce Allen was there. Stinchcomb was down there. Charlie Garner was down there. Ricky Dudley was down there.
Yeah.
So I had guys who I can go and relate to, and it wasn't starting over for me. So Tampa served me well. It was a rough year for me because they hated me down there. I catch touchdowns. They boo.
Really?
But you got cheered in Oakland when you caught your 100th touchdown.
I caught my 100 touchdown pass back in Oakland, which is pretty ironic, but. So it was a great bad year. It just good enough to say, okay, I can breathe and go out this game the way I want to, and bad enough to tell me don't try and go to another team because you may not be well received.
Wow. Last thing, do you belong in the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Well, John, look, I obviously can't say that. I mean, you look at my numbers, and my numbers may say that, but you'll never hear me say that.
I'll say that.
What I will say is, I've had the opportunity to play, alongside or at the same time a lot of great receivers. You look at Jerry, you look at Chris and Andre, and then all the young guys who came towards the end of our career. So, none of those guys have ever caught a punt or, or returned the
Yeah,
kickoff.
right.
You know, so
You were still doing that. I mean,
I did
15
it.
years.
I did it
in.
17 years.
Yeah.
I'm the oldest man in the NFL to ever return a punt. But I think Charles Woodson's going to get me because
Oh, yeah?
he's a couple months away. So if he returns one next year, then he'll be the oldest man to ever do it. But
Wow.
yeah, so look, man, I know these voters have a very difficult time. At the end of the day, somebody's going to be upset. Because somebody's going to be disappointed. So from that standpoint, you have to go through the process, man. My problem with this whole deal is managing the expectations of the people around me.
Yeah.
Because that beautiful young lady that's sitting behind you,
Yeah.
she goes off.
I love that.
She goes off.
Yeah.
She doesn't play this. Oh no, I can't. So
Yeah.
once we got that going on, we have a little problem. So, but yeah, man, hey, every year, man, this time of year, people are talking about me. It's great for me for business. So you
Yeah.
utilize what you can and keep moving on.
There you go.
Well-
Tim Brown, you can get his book, The Making of a Man, at makingofaman.net.
Yes, thank
We
you.
appreciate you being here, and it's probably a great gift idea as the holidays are just around the
Absolutely.
corner. And
Yes.
thank you so much for being
Thank you,
here.
Kay. Appreciate it. Thanks,
Thanks,
for
Tim.
We're going to send you guys back out to live action.
Second effort, so first and goal to go.